Well, let's hear more about this because we're joined by Minister for Justice Dermot Ahern, who's in our Dáil studio this evening. Minister, thanks for talking to us on the programme. What would this bill allow a homeowner to do when confronted by an intruder which is not allowed as things stand?
Well, this is a clarification of existing law, and it goes a little bit further. As you said in your introduction, up to now there has been a suggestion that a homeowner should retreat in the face of an intruder coming into the house with aggression. That we're specifically stating in this bill that person can stand their ground and defend themselves, provided it's reasonable and justifiable. We're also putting in to this bill that an intruder cannot take a claim for damages against the homeowner if they're injured in circumstances where justifiable force is used. We're also defining the extent of the area around the house that this applies to, because there is some doubt as to how far this reasonable force can be used.
So it would include the immediate vicinity of the house, outbuildings on a farm, the garden in a family home.
That's not a public place, and ultimately, obviously, it would be up to a court to decide, where that area is. But it would be again based on the circumstances of the case.
If in confronting an intruder, somebody uses force that leads to the death of that intruder, lethal force, what's their position under your bill?
Well, under the bill, that's not excluded. In other words, an intruder could potentially be killed, and the homeowner, if obviously in the circumstances and the court decide that it was justifiable force, and that the person honestly held that belief at the time that they were under danger of death or whatever, that they could use force such that the intruder would be killed.
You've said today, though, that you haven't gone as far as the Law Reform Commission, which examined all this and reported on it last year, was recommending at the time. In what way have you stopped short of what they were suggesting?
Well, there's a subtle difference between what we're saying. We're saying that death of an intruder is excluded under the legislation, or that it's possible for an intruder to be killed. The Law Reform Commission wanted, to a certain extent, a positive statement in this, and it was felt when we consulted the Attorney General that the Oireachtas making a statement that an intruder could be killed by lethal force would actually be saying to the public generally that they can use lethal force even in circumstances where perhaps it wouldn't be justified. Right. So it is a subtle difference, but it is the case that an intruder could possibly be killed as a result of coming in on somebody's property. Because at the end of the day, we're dealing with someone's family home, and
Yeah, but even in going that far, are you suggesting to people where perhaps it might be in their best interests to retreat, to get out of the way, get out of the home, that they should stand their ground and maybe end up causing injury or death to themselves?
Well, you see, under existing legislation, there is an inference taken from the fact that the person didn't retreat from their house. Now, that's unfair in our view, and this, to a certain extent, is tipping the balance back to the homeowner. In other words, that the homeowner doesn't necessarily have to retreat from their house and can stand their ground, and that they will not be taken at a disadvantage, if that's the case later on when the case is taken.
To use the phrase that's been used by your critics, this is a have-a-go charter for homeowners.
No, it's not. It's a restatement of the existing legislation. I mean, some people are suggesting, this is taking an awful long time. I mean, there was a very significant court case back in 2006 where the Supreme Court decided what the law was in relation to this, and they said that burglary is in itself an act of aggression, and that an intruder should be aware that they will be retaliated against by the homeowner. What this is doing is taking in specific circumstances. For instance, the no retreat, the issue of the dwelling house and the area, and also the issue about damages, which up to now has been a doubt as to whether or not the homeowner is safe from damages from the intruder.
Yes, Minister, there we leave it. Thanks very much indeed for talking to us.